All right. Well, by my count, it is past 9:30, so we're going to get started today. We're going to continue on with our discussion about the Farm Bill programs that are available. Today, we're going to end up covering the Arc County option. Last week, we ended up covering the PLC option for producers. And then the first week, we started out talking about the yield update and the base acreage reallocation. I really encourage people to make sure that they're getting into FSA to do their yield updates. It's going to benefit them regardless of what program they end up choosing to participate in. It's one of those ones where we don't know how often we're going to end up being able to update those yields. You will get a benefit under this farm bill if you choose PLC. However, it will potentially benefit you in the future, in future farm bills, if you can end up getting that higher payment yield. So I think people should try to get into FSA sooner rather than later to end up looking at updating those yields, because they are going to get very busy at some of these FSA offices as we move closer to that February 27th deadline. Like I said, today what we're going to end up talking about is we're going to talk about the Agriculture Risk Coverage County option. So what we're going to end up doing is we're going to end up talking about the Arc County option. But first, what I want to end up doing is covering off a couple of quick questions that have been submitted into us. The first question was, if I have no base acres, what to end up doing. Unfortunately, under this farm bill, if you have no base acres, you will not end up getting commodity program payments. You will not get ARC or PLC payments. You are still eligible as long as your county has crop insurance products available to end up purchasing traditional crop insurance or the SCO or stacks insurance option for county level protection. The other one, and this goes back to the importance of the yield update, if you can end up updating yield, it's on a farm by farm basis and commodity by commodity basis. So you can pick and choose the commodities you wish to end up updating as far as your payment yields end up going. So you always want to end up either picking the higher of the existing yield or the potential updated yield in order to maximize what your potential payments are. The other question that we end up receiving, this is to do with the available FSA decision aids online. One thing that people are confused is I've got numerous requests or numerous people saying, well, you know what, I put in my price projections and they were all above the reference price, but it still shows a PLC payment. What you have to remember with these online decision aids is that it's built on a distribution. So even if you put, for example, a price in for corn of $4, it builds a distribution around that $4 so that you will end up having some of these numbers that are used in the estimation that will actually be below that $3.70 reference price. Now, it's easy to end up calculating a point estimate for potential PLC payments that you can end up using. And that's using that formula that we showed last week. Or for today, we're going to look at the Arc County option where you are looking at those county level yields and the national market year average prices. The last one that I'm just going to quickly talk about, and there seems to be a lot of confusion, it's probably the most common question I get, is based on SCO, the supplemental coverage option, and when you're eligible to purchase that. So the first thing that I'm going to end up taking a look at here is I'm going to quickly go directly to the SCO handbook just to end up giving you an indication of what it ends up saying in there. We know that if you've enrolled acres in Arc County, you are not eligible or the ARC program in general, you are not eligible to end up purchasing the supplemental coverage crop insurance option. Basically what it ends up indicating in the SCO manual is point number 10. The ARC program is administered by FSA. You have to remember SCO is administered by RMA and it's purchased through crop insurance agents. So you have to remember, you have to go to RMA to look at the rules and regulations for SCO. If ARC is elected on an FSA crop, farm number, and SCO is elected on a crop county basis, benefits cannot be received for both ARC and SCO on the same acreage or farm number. So you can purchase SCO if you are in PLC, or the other option that's available is if you do not have base acreage and you have not elected a program, you can still end up participating in the SCO option, even if you aren't actively participating in one of those commodity programs. So you do have to be careful. You don't want to end up selecting ARC after you've purchased the SCO insurance, but it is available for those that potentially, for example, if you don't have a base on a farm, look at purchasing that SCO product. What we're going to end up moving into now, I'm just going to quickly remind everybody the deadlines for that base acreage reallocation decision and payment update or yield update is February 27th, and then we'll have the March 31st deadline to make our ARC or PLC selection. Again, it's very important to distinguish that the ARC and PLC election, along with the yield update and base acreage reallocation, is made at FSA, whereas the risk management agency is in charge of the crop insurance program and the supplemental coverage option and stacked income protection plan. So you have to make sure that when you're going in to make your program decisions, you're going into your FSA office, whereas your crop insurance and supplemental coverage options are going to be purchased with your crop insurance provider. Again, one of the big decisions that is involved in making these program elections is where you see marketing your average prices going for corn, soybeans, and wheat. You can see the chart that's on the screen shows where prices have been from 2009 to projected prices of 2014. The black dotted lines and solid line indicate the reference price for corn, soybeans, and wheat. The important thing when we're looking at the ARC County program is how high some of these reference prices have been built into past years, because when we are calculating ARC County, we're looking at Olympic average prices. So we're taking the past 5 years on a rolling average. So again, the Agriculture Risk Coverage ARC program is a red program. Hey,
now that, just save that email and you just click that same one each time. And you bookmark it. Yeah, check with Sam or one of Kid Isaac and know how to bookmark it.
So the Agriculture Risk Coverage Program, payments are made if your county level revenue falls below 86%. There's a maximum payment of 10% that you can end up achieving on that. Again, today we're just talking about the county average, so you can see that that 5-year Olympic average national price, which was that market year average price on the previous screen, has some substantially higher prices than where markets are right now built into the front end. So there's the potential that you might end up getting, or it's very likely that for some of the commodities, corn and soybeans, that you're going to get some front end payments in 2014 and potentially 2015 because of how that national average price is calculated. The other thing that's important to note is that your county benchmark is set on what your Olympic average county yield for each commodity is. So it doesn't have anything to do with your individual farm, which ends up making it so that it might not be, depending on how your yields end up following your county averages, a great risk management tool. But again, It's going to end up triggering these payments when you see a county a drop in revenue compared to the county below 86% of this benchmark. The prices used are, again, the national market year average. We kind of reviewed that last time, but basically this is an estimate of a weighted average price for each commodity based on a monthly average marketing of that commodity. So for example, when you're looking at corn and soybeans, you're going to have the vast majority of those marketings occur the 5 months after harvest. So that's where you're going to end up having the most impact as far as potentially moving the marketing year average price. This doesn't reflect what's going on in the futures market necessarily, or what's going on in your individual location. And this also brings into another concern about when you will be receiving any payments under either ARC or PLC. And that concern is that we will always be on that 1 year time lag due to how the marketing year average prices are calculated. Since you have marketing year average prices that are calculated based on the marketing year, so for example, corn and soybeans, the marketing year runs from September 1st to August 31st, you won't be able to have that marketing year average price determined until October. So any potential payments will always be 1 year behind where your crop is. So for example, the 2014 payments won't be made available until after October 1st, 2015. And this will continue as we move throughout the Farm Bill. So for example, your 2018 crop year payment won't be received until October 1st, 2019. So that's something to be aware of, and you should definitely end up being proactive with your banker as far as letting him know that there could be the potential, and this is obviously only if a payment is triggered, but there will be that substantial time lag that might end up coming into play. So again, how are these Olympic average prices calculated? These are the numbers straight from that previous chart. But you can see for soybeans, for example, to calculate the Olympic average, we have a price of $9.59 in 2009, $11.30 in 2010, $12.50 in 2011, and $14.40 in 2012, and $13 in 2013. What we'd end up doing is we'd throw out the low of $9.59, the high of $14.40 in 2012, and take an average of the remaining 3 years. So the 11.30, 12.50, and 13 gives you an Olympic average of 12.27. Now in the ARC program, they do allow you to end up substituting in those reference prices for the commodities if the marketing year average price drops below that reference price. So in the corn example, you can see in 2009, the marketing year average price was $3.55, which is below the reference price of $3.70. So when you're calculating the Olympic average price, you would use that $3.70. Now in this example, it still turns out to be that the $3.70 is the lowest price, so you'd still drop that from the calculation along with the high in 2012 of $6.89. So your remaining years would be $5.18, $6.22, and $4.46, giving you an Olympic average of $5.28. Now in this example, if instead of $5.18, we ended up having a price of say $3.50, we would substitute in that $3.70, and in this case it would end up coming into play as far as the marketing year average, because you'd still drop one of the $3.70s, but then you'd take an average of the $3.70 in 2010, 2011 of $6.22, and $4.46 of 2013. So there's no limit to the number of times you can substitute that reference price in. So for example, if you had all marketing years moving forward having a price below $3.70, your Olympic average would be an absolute minimum of $3.70 over that time period. The other thing that's very important to point out in how this Olympic average price calculation works is that it's going to be very, very likely that we end up having the same Olympic average prices for 2014 as 2015. Because as you can see, for soybeans, corn, and wheat, all three of those low prices occur in 2009. Well, since we use a rolling average of the price, the 2009 column would be dropped off as we move into the 2015 marketing year, and we'd add in the 2014 marketing year average price. Now, it's very likely that we're going to end up seeing a marketing year average price for 2014 below the levels of 2010, 2011, 2012, and 2013. As such, when we go to do the 2015 marketing year average price, we will drop the 2014 year for these three commodities. Instead of 2009, 2012 will still be the high year, so we'll still end up dropping that one, and we'll still end up taking an average of 2010, 2011, and 2013. So you can see, based on how the Olympic average price calculation ends up working for at least 2014, 2015, and a little bit of an impact in 2016 and 17 potentially, we're going to have some of these larger or higher than where current market prices are built into the calculation. As such, it's very likely that we're going to see some good payments out of Arc County for corn and soybeans and wheat as well. Now, just for a quick example, how these Olympic average prices and Olympic average yields would end up working as far as triggering a payment. In this example, what I've done is I've assumed an Olympic average county corn yield from 2009 to 2013 of 156 bushels per acre. The Olympic average national price at that 528 from the previous screen. This gives you a benchmark revenue for the county of 156 bushels per acre multiplied by 528 a bushel, or $824 per acre. The revenue guarantee is $824 per acre multiplied by that 86% or the 14% deductible, if you want to look at it that way, gives you a revenue guarantee of $708 per acre. Given how the ARC program is set up, it is a shallow loss program, so it's capped at a 10%, that 86 to 76% of revenue. So the most you would end up potentially getting under this example is $82.40 per acre. That's one of the major differences between Arc County and PLC is PLC doesn't have a floor or a limit as far as the payments go, unless you bump into that individual payment limit of $125,000. The Arc County program does have a 10% stop loss. Once you end up achieving the 10% loss from 86 to 76%, if it falls further, you're not going to get any additional payments out of it. So continuing with this example, if your actual county yield, as determined in the fall of the previous year, after harvest has been completed and they've been able to end up accumulating these numbers, they use NAS numbers on this. If your actual county yield is 170 bushels per acre and your actual market year average price is $4 per bushel, that gives you a revenue of $680 per acre. Your actual county revenue is less than what your revenue guarantee is, so the 680 is less than 708. What you'd end up getting for a payment rate is 708 minus 680, or $28 per acre. The payment amount, the same as PLC, is based on 85% of base acres. So you multiply $28 per acre times 85% of base acres, gives you $23.80 per base acre. Again, this does not matter what happens on your individual farm. This is based on national Olympic average marketing year price and your county yields. So again, if you're looking at this from a risk management standpoint, it's going to be a more effective product the closer your individual farm will end up following the county average yields. But again, if you're looking at just from a payment maximization standpoint, you're just going to focus in on what's going on in your county as far as being able to determine whether you're going to get maximum payments under this. I'm not going to talk about ARC individual. We'll talk about that in the next webcast that we end up doing. I do want to end up quickly mentioning kind of the key differences between PLC and Arc County. We discussed PLC last week, Arc County this week. It's very important to distinguish between the two programs. PLC is obviously driven off the reference price for corn, soybeans, and wheat. The reference prices are $370, $840, and $550. So that's where you're going to end up getting your potential payments if a marketing year average price falls below those reference prices. For Arc County, it is driven off of county revenue. So the benchmark yield for PLC is that CC yield off of your existing Form 156EZ, or the yield that you can update to, which is 90% of your yields over the last 5 years. Your 5-year Olympic average county yield is the yield used in the Arc County program. Again, the reference price is the benchmark price for PLC. For Arc County, use a 5-year Olympic average of the market year average price. Your benchmark guarantee for Arc County is 86% of that national price and that county level yield. When you look at what the actual yield is in PLC, your actual yield does not matter. It's only based on what your payment yield or your CC yield is, or what you've ended up updating your yield to. For the Arc County program, it's based on county yield. Both of the programs are paid on 85% of base acres. The other major difference between the programs, again, is that there is no bottom end on PLC. The only payment limit that you can end up hitting is that $125,000 per person, or $250,000 combined. Whereas in Arc County, there's still those payment limits per entity, but there's also that 10% limit. So if you have a decrease below 76% of county benchmark revenue, you won't get any additional payments under the Arc County program. Again, these are our price projections from FAPRI, which is University of Missouri, USDA, CBO, which is the Congressional Budget Office. So these are kind of some indications of where these organizations see prices going over the term of the Farm Bill. Just to give you a quick indication, and this is something where, again, it's difficult to do this on a county by county basis, but if you want to end up looking at what's going on in your individual location, I really encourage people to go online and take a look at the online tools that are available to them. So just to end up giving you an indication, this is a representative farm for Coffee County using USDA prices and 70% coverage level. You can see that given the price, the market year average Olympic price that's built in, that in year one, this is a 1-year time horizon. For corn, we're estimating an Arc County payment of $59 per acre. For soybeans, $38 per acre. And for wheat, $3 per acre. The prices for PLC is estimated at $19.0 for PLC for soybeans, and $1 for PLC under wheat. Again, you have to remember that these payments are based on distributions. However, the 1-year time horizon is going to be reasonably accurate due to the fact that we've already went through the first part of the marketing year, so we have a really good idea where prices are potentially heading for 2014 and where our yields are for the 2014 harvest. When you change time horizons and look at potentially the 5-year time horizon, it kind of paints a little bit of a different picture. And again, this will vary county by county. But the one thing that I do like about the University of Illinois tool is that it does give you county level estimates without having to put in a whole bunch of information. If you're looking at doing additional analysis on your specific circumstances, I really do strongly encourage people to use the Texas A&M tool, as I think it provides farm level analysis that really can reflect your individual circumstances. When you look at these payment estimates for the 5-year time horizon, one thing that you do have to be cognizant about is this purple component, which is the SCO. This is net of what your premiums are, net indemnity after removing your premiums. But you have to be cognizant that this is estimating that you purchased that SCO product for all 5 years. Since SCO is a crop insurance product, you can choose to purchase that on a year-to-year basis. The Art County and PLC programs, you are locked in for 5 years. They do require annual enrollment, but you can't change what your actual decision or program is over that 5-year period. But again, you can see in this Coffee County example, we've got reasonably high payments of $42 per acre on an annual basis over the 5 years for corn, soybeans at $32 for Art County compared to $7 for PLC and $8 for SCO. Wheat, you can kind of see, is a little bit more favoring PLC at this point, and that's due to where some of these price projections are for wheat, where they're substantially below the reference price. So you can see that if you're picking on a commodity by commodity basis, you would end up looking in this example at going Art County for soybean base. For corn base, you'd probably either go Art County, or if you were really interested in that SCO option, you could end up going with PLC and SCO for your corn acreage. But for wheat, you'd end up looking at PLC. Again, this is going to vary by your county and individual farm circumstances. But one thing that we have seen consistently is this Art County payment for soybeans in particular does seem to be very attractive in most circumstances. That doesn't mean that your individual circumstances you should discount looking at PLC or ARC individual, but the Art County product, particularly for soybean base, is going to be an important decision. The other thing that's going to end up playing a major role in Tennessee with these decisions is going to end up being the impact of generic base. Our generic base acreage is going to be eligible for payments if we are planting covered commodities. So for example, if you have generic base, or what the old cotton base used to be, and you plant it to corn or soybeans, you will get program payments for that covered commodity. So we're going to talk about that in future farm bills. With that, I will open it for any potential having. We ended up talking briefly about that SCO option, so that is something that we'll cover in more detail down the road. But it is something that you do need to be very careful with how you end up using that product, given you will have to sign up or purchase your crop insurance in between that February 27th yield update and base acreage reallocation decision and your program decision on March 31st. You do need to be careful as far as how that's going to end up factoring into your decision, because you cannot have SCO covering the same acreage as stacks, or you get some real stiff penalties. With that, if there is any questions, I'll take them now. If not, you can go back and you can revisit this. We have it recorded and we'll get it up on the website. All right, thank you for participating. And if you have any questions, please email us using the Farm Bill email account. We'll be sure to answer your questions. Thank you.